Please welcome Kacey to the stage. Thanks, Kacey.
Woo! Thank you. Let me make sure my coffee makes its way to the stage with me. It's very important. All right. So let's start off with a show of hands. And I got stage fright, so I'm going to use these notes for a little while. Bear with me. They'll go away at some point. Who out there is chasing a dream right now? Chasing a dream, chasing a goal. Who feels like they have to swim upstream to get to that dream sometimes? Who is drifting in a sea of possibility and may have lost sight of land a little bit when it comes to your goals or who you are as a creative leader? Okay. Who tends to get overwhelmed or burnt out and just stops swimming and floats along? Okay. Who feels like life sends a lot of tidal waves that take you out? Ooh, yeah. And who in here is the captain of your ship? Sailing along, full steam ahead, rolling with those waves? Yes, all right. And who out of my captains sometimes looks around and notices you don't have a crew and you're out here in deep water by yourself until you throw up an SOS, which you rarely do because you mostly like to do stuff by yourself. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to kind of get a feel for who's in here, see who we're working with. Like many of you, I am a business-minded creative and a multipreneur. I work primarily as an executive and leadership coach for people who want to bring more authenticity, connection, and creativity into their lives and careers. I specialize in working with people who struggle with the not enoughs and imposter syndrome. And I'd be lying to you if I said I didn't struggle with those things myself, especially preparing for this and a little bit right now. Anybody else? Who are my people? All right. Prior to becoming a coach, I worked for a decade as a professional opera singer. And I noticed that the more successful I got, the lonelier and more disconnected I got. And I noticed a lot of people around me seemed successful and miserable. Now, very few people wake up and say, I want life to look great and feel meaningless today. Yet, we hustle through the day so focused on checking off boxes or getting it right that at the end of the day, we feel like we worked really hard, didn't get far enough, and are not really lit up about ourselves or our relationships. So many of us who are that fierce combination of ambition and heart. We chase results and achievements when what we most deeply long for is a particular experience of ourselves and of our lives. The most common soul-level goals that I hear people talk about are things like peace, connection, joy, love. Achievements give us a temporary taste of that, certainly, but how many of you have achieved something great only to feel like it's still not enough? Or maybe you feel like you don't deserve to enjoy your success. In all of my work as a creative multipreneur and with the other leaders I've coached and trained, I've learned over and over again that the key to having it all really is in who you're being and how you choose to experience the ebb and the flow of a creative life. Now, that's something we think about and we say, yeah, of course, it sounds really easy. Go with the flow, accept life as it comes. So what does that actually mean? Some of us confuse acceptance with being resigned. Like, I'll accept it. This is just how life is. One of those is a sense of peace. The other one is really kind of disempowered. Some of us do a really good job of practicing acceptance, and then a storm hits, and we go into protect and panic mode, holding on for dear life. The storm might be anything from financial stress to a breakup, or just your partner getting on your nerves, or getting overwhelmed with your own to-do list. We all have some pretty predictable ways of handling life's ebbs and flows, and some of them work, but some of them are completely blocking our brilliance, and we don't even know it. The issues and the patterns that I question you about at the beginning of this are some of the really common blocks to our collective brilliance. And I don't just mean the intellectual kind. I mean the multifaceted diamond of your fully expressed self in the world. Your voice, your heart, your talent, your drive, your willingness to take action. And look, some days you got it all figured out. Life's good, high tide, the creative juices are flowing. Those are actually some of the best times to do the work we're going to talk about today, because this work, like life, is cyclical. You'll find it beneficial to practice this work not only during the low tides, the ebbs, and the challenges, but to recalibrate and adjust each time you create a new breakthrough, hit a new level, or hit a new milestone. Now, I use the same tools and practices that I give my own clients to help me unblock my brilliance and flow. So we're going to walk through a tool I developed called the 7 Wheels of Leadership, which will help us look at how you can maximize your flow in your own life, career, and creativity. The 7 wheels is rooted in chakra theory. Anybody in here familiar with the chakras and that? Yes, okay, awesome. So this comes from ancient Hindu wisdom, which says there are 7 wheels, spinning wheels of energy located along the spinal column. And they correspond to different parts of the nervous system, different organs, emotions, hormones, all that good stuff. I've framed these sacred teachings in a way that resonates with any client of mine, regardless of their spiritual background and belief or lack thereof. So today, I may use some words like spirit or divinity or universe or whatever. Apply that as you will to your own life, whatever that means to you, higher purpose, mission, whatever you want. We're going to cover a really brief overview of the 7 wheels. It contains some concepts and tools from ontological coaching, which is what I practice, neuroscience, positive psychology, and just some good old-fashioned common sense. I'm going to throw a lot at you in a short time. I'm going to start talking really fast. Take what you will, and I'm happy to dig in further with any of you, after today. A reminder is that quantum physics has proven that observation effects matter. Therefore, just placing your attention on the 7 wheels has been scientifically proven to create real change in your body and your reality. So even if all you do is sit there today and visualize them as we talk through them, you're already unblocking your brilliance. So what are the 7 wheels? You can see here the English translations of the chakra names, and to the other side is what they have to do with leadership. And I also want you to think of leadership as ownership, because that's what this is all really about. This is about you fully owning, being 100% responsible for your life. Responsible meaning able to respond. If we aren't consciously being responsible, we're reacting to life. And our reactions are often fear-based habits. So as we move through the 7 wheels and some corresponding exercises, I want you to notice where you could be more responsible versus where you already feel pretty comfortable. Make a note of it, and I invite you to share that either with me or an accountability buddy somewhere in this room before we leave today. That's right, you're gonna have accountability buddies before you leave, so prepare yourselves. Let's dive in. The first wheel is the root. It's correlated with your root chakra. This is the foundation of your leadership. Its physical location is just above the tailbone, and its color is red. It governs your sense of self, your sense of belonging, your sense of acceptance. If this wheel is stuck, you may have a lot of anxiety, you may have chronic financial issues, you may feel like you don't belong or fit in. Physically, issues with this wheel, or if you're not paying attention to this wheel, you may have arthritis, you may have knee and foot problems, or hemorrhoids. That's right, we are talking about hemorrhoids as a leadership issue, you guys. Let's be real, it is really hard to feel like you're at the height of your power if you've got problems with your feet, your knees, or your rear end, all right? So this wheel, in all seriousness, this is one of the most important because who you are is how you lead. You may have heard this before. So who are you? I don't know about you, but my external identity and circumstances in the ocean I swim in has been in flux my entire life. It's not necessarily a bad thing, and I would not trade any of my adventures or my versatility for anything. I've been a singer since I was a little kid, but it's been everything from blues to country to Christian pop to opera to burlesque and back again. I've also, I bet a lot of you can relate to this, I have had more strange, odd jobs than I can count. Anybody like super weird part-time jobs on your artistic journey? Yeah, you have not seen flow until you've seen this girl go from working as a personal assistant to a 90-year-old art dealer in the morning to changing clothes in a public bathroom like Starbucks in the middle of Manhattan to get to an opera audition at noon, and then skrelting for my life in a musical theater audition next door, and then getting to yoga just in time to get centered before I go to my job as a professional dominatrix in Midtown Manhattan until 1 a.m. Those days made it really challenging to stay attuned to my root chakra and my foundation and figure out who I was and how I fit in the world. So, good reminder that, as it says on our name tags, you are not your circumstances. You are not your job. You are not any of your titles. So again, who are you? You are either your thriving self or your surviving self at any given moment. And we all start life as our thriving self. This is our core, the essence of who we are at our highest and best. And then something happens, an event or circumstance. Life teaches us that it's not always safe. So we start to build some defense mechanisms, and those become our surviving self to help protect us. Now, neither is necessarily good or bad, but as leaders, the survival self is often ill-equipped to take us where we're fully capable of going. Now, if you look at these two lists, I am sure that you guys are often thriving leaders. But if we followed you around for a day, we'd likely see maybe some, righteousness, some predictability, some avoiding discomfort. Who sees themselves on these lists? Who would be brave enough to yell out a couple of things from both sides that you know you're reliable to bring any day?
Fear.
Yes.
Suffering.
Righteousness.
Intimacy. Possibilities.
Mm.
Exploration.
Awesome. You guys are like creative popcorn out there. It's awesome. So we're going to do a super fast self-identifying version of distinguishing our surviving selves and our thriving selves. Normally, this is done with a coach and with some people in your life who can reflect things to you. But for today, we're going to do a super fast version. So for right now, draw a circle in the center of your paper. Doesn't have to be super big. Draw the circle in the middle, but leave room around it and to the sides. So draw a circle. Inside the circle, I want you to write your fears. The fears that keep you up at night, or the ones that your inner critic has to say, or the ones that Colin's mom say to you on the inside of your head when she's criticizing your workflow. And then around the sides, around the outside of the circle, write the ways that you compensate for or react to those fears. And you can see up here, I've written some of the common ones I hear. Some of these definitely might be my own, especially that last one. Take on way too much, get overwhelmed, mess it all up, feel like a fuck up. Yeah, that's classic. Classic. So write your own, and you can also write, there's some really good things up there. Like when I'm getting stressed out or feeling crummy, I go do yoga or go to the gym. So it's not just negative behaviors. It's just some of your predictable kind of coping, this keeps me safe in my little world behaviors. Throw myself into work, drown my sorrows in drinks and complaints. Lots of good stuff there. So write your own version. I'll give you all a minute to write this down. Man, we love to talk about our fears, don't we? We love to indulge in oh yeah, this is what makes life scary. This is a good time to be intentional about it. And then we're gonna write a list somewhere over to the side of qualities you bring to a room when you are your highest, best self. When you feel safe in your own skin, when you truly feel like you're thriving and living in a way that aligns with your purpose, whatever that means for you. Now, this is just a list to inspire you, but obviously make up your own, come up with your own version of this. Now, thriving self, some of you may have trouble coming up with your own. If you get really stuck, come talk to me afterwards and I'll lead you through a different version of this exercise that'll have some other people in your life reflect to you. You can also go home and ask your friends, hey, what shows up when I walk into a room? What am I when I am at my highest and best? Who am I? And get those reflections. For right now, choose at least 5 of those words. Choose 5, either of these of your own or of your own creation, and write those down on your paper. Those are your thriving self. Mine are peace, beacon, joy, grace, and glory. And those were given to me by my own coach. I did not pick them myself. And every now and then, when I'm in my fear stuff, I'm like, oh my God, beacon, glory, joy, me? No way. And so keep in mind, this is your tool to distinguish these so that you can get really clear on the 2 parts of you and you can decide which one you want to come from at any point during the day. So keep these as the foundation of the rest of these 7 wheels, all right? We're gonna take a look at some tools and exercises. Oh my God, the time, you guys. We're gonna take a look at tools and exercises to support the alignment of your first wheel. I'm gonna have you guys actually stand up and do a little exercise with me. Everybody stand up. And you can hold your paper, you don't need your hands. We're not gonna hold hands or anything super like wild like that. But just stand up and take a minute to just feel your feet on the ground. One of the best ways to get grounded in your core and in your root is just to connect with the earth. So close your eyes for a minute. Take a breath. Imagine the energy from the red core of the earth is seeping up through the ground, into the soles of your feet, up through the legs, all the way to the lower body, to that first wheel. And it's glowing, it's spinning, it's red, filling you up with the knowledge that who you are and what you have is enough, that you have everything you need, that you can provide for yourself. Take another breath. Now open your eyes. And out loud, I want you to say those 5 words that you chose for yourself. And say them as you really feel your feet on the floor. Everybody say it out loud. Let's all get weird together. Peace, joy, beacon, love, grace, glory. Beautiful. Have a seat. And as you sit down, stay present to who that had you be. Outside of the like, oh my God, what are we doing? This is weird part, but like the part that had you remember who you actually are. That is the easiest exercise you can do before you walk into any room, before a networking event, before a date, before an audition, an interview, whatever it is. Take a minute to just feel your feet on the ground and be with your own humanity and all of its messiness and glory and wonder and the unique 5 words that are you. Nobody else has the exact same, configuration. There's something about that that's really special and really particular to you. That's a great way to get in touch with your first wheel and the foundation of who you are as a leader. Another easy one is just to take a walk, get in touch with the earth and your humanity, super simple. Practice distinguishing your surviving self and your thriving self in your thinking, your speaking, and your actions. Post those thriving words somewhere where you can see them every morning and decide that that's where you're going to speak from, that's where you're going to listen from, and that's where you're going to filter the world for that day. And lastly, super practical one, a budget spreadsheet. It's like we just went from woo-woo to to-do real fast. But I find a lot of people are either really obsessive about it or they like to avoid it altogether if they don't like what's in there. Like if you do only have the 3 digits in your account, you might not want to look. Really own it, be responsible for it, and just know what's so. I think I put know what's so with your dough. So practice that as the foundation of your leadership. Let's go to the next wheel. The second one is the sacral. It is located just below the belly button. Its color is orange. And this is the one that's associated with pleasure and play and creation. Chakra-wise, this is the one that governs your reproductive organs and hormones and all of that good stuff. As it pertains to your leadership and your creativity, I find this is the place to check in with yourself on whether or not you are celebrating your wins. Are you actually celebrating the small ones and the big ones? Are you giving yourself intentional playtime? A lot of my clients get assigned adult recess where they have at least 1 hour a day to play. How many of you could use more playtime in your lives? How many of you could use less playtime in your lives? Okay, so for you guys, third wheel. That's your place to look. We'll talk about you in a minute. For some of you who need a little more playtime, practice cultivating an hour of playtime in your day. You'll be surprised at what it infuses your flow with when you return to work. For now, take a minute to write down your wins for this week. What are your wins? Big ones, small ones, whatever. I got out of bed this morning. I only hit snooze once. I wrote a speech. Whatever it is that you've created this week, write it down. And as you're writing, we're going to move to the third wheel. And like I said, for those of you who may have too much playtime, the third wheel is the solar plexus. It's located just below the breastbone. It is associated with the color yellow, and with your willingness to take action on your goals and your level of confidence in your vision and in your abilities. This is the part of you that gets shit done. Now, for some of you, this one's overactive. You go, 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 go. You do all the time. So sometimes the way to balance this one is to actually pause, to slow down, to take a breath, maybe get the flow going in those first 2 wheels before you move back up to the third. One of my favorite tools to support this wheel and to keep the attention there is framing the day and choosing a top 4. Framing the day, I'm actually going to credit my partner, Jeff, back there with. Raise your hand, dear. He's also a coach. I'm going to marry that man. But framing the day means choosing an intention for your whole day. It's like the picture frame around your day. And no matter what happens inside of that frame, you are holding it with a particular way of being. So mine for this morning was contribution. So no matter what life throws at me today, and let me tell you, it's thrown some stuff at me already this morning. You wouldn't believe it's wild. My focus is on how am I a contribution? So choose something for yourself every morning. And then on the inside, you choose your top 4. The top 4 results you need to create that day. The top 4 things that you're going to do. For my underdoers, you don't do playtime until you achieve those 4. And for my overdoers, when you've done those 4, you are done. You stop. No more checking off the endless to-do list until 2 a.m. You pick the 4 and then you're done, all right? The 4th wheel is your heart, the heart of your leadership. It's located, obviously, in the center of your chest, and its color is green. I think of this as green light love and giving and receiving love freely. This is the bridge between your humanity, those lower 3 wheels, and your divinity, which is the upper ones, which we'll continue on to in a second. Your heart is how you connect with other people. Some practices for this one. Man, there are a lot. I'm going to pick my 2 favorites. The first one is letting go of comparison and jealousy. Comparison is one of the biggest ones that gets in my way, that has me shut my heart down or close off to myself. Practice reframing it as inspiration. Like, I compare myself to everybody from my little brother, who is definitely the favorite, to, Marie Forleo or Oprah Winfrey or whoever. Well, what is it that they're doing that is inspiring to me? What is that waking up in my heart that is so big and so wonderful that it's kind of hard to be with because it's so inspiring? So check in with yourself. If you feel comparison or jealousy, what are you actually inspired by, and what will you create from that place? The other one is acknowledgement. Very rarely do we openly acknowledge ourselves or other people. We acknowledge the doing sometimes, we acknowledge the achievement, but we rarely acknowledge each other for who we are. Very rarely do you walk up and say, "You are peace and joy and a beacon. Thank you." Practice it. It'll feel a little weird and vulnerable at first, but that's what we're here for. So right now, super fast practice, think of someone in your life that you haven't acknowledged, and then send them a quick message. You can just send them a text. Acknowledge them for who they are in your life. Acknowledge them for their energy and their being and how they impact you. Come, do it now. Do it now. Get vulnerable now. You don't have to wait. So how often does a speaker tell you to go text somebody while they're talking? Take advantage of this moment, y'all. It can be anybody, from your kindergarten teacher to your grandma to your own little brother who's the favorite, whoever you pick. This also plays into the 5th wheel, which is correlated with your throat chakra, which is the center of your authentic expression. This is how you speak and listen when fear is out of the way. If there's no comparison, if there's no possible way to get it wrong, if you are just speaking from that core, from those 5 words that you chose from yourself, if that's how you're thinking, speaking, and listening and communicating, how would that shift your life? So send that acknowledgement text from that place. This is also about asking for what you actually want in life and hearing others. A practice that I have for you to take on around this today is to actually speak to what's working in your life and what you want more of. We humans have a habit of bonding through our complaints and through our gossip and our drama, and then we wonder why we get more of that stuff. So today, practice speaking to what's working and what's great, and let people be in that space with you. You'll be surprised at what that generates more of from the people around you, especially at work. Number 6 is intuition. This is right in the center of your forehead, that third eye. You may have heard people talk about the third eye. Its color is indigo. And this is the place where you listen to yourself, but you also listen to the things that are bigger than just you. If this one is overactive, you may find yourself caught in analysis paralysis a lot. Anybody? I see some nodding on that one. All right. So one of my favorite exercises for this, predictably, is meditation. Who in here has a meditation practice? Sort of. Okay. I'm going to tell on myself, I'm a sort of person. I love to think that I meditate every day. Like it feels really good to feel like, oh yeah, of course I meditate. I don't. I'm working on it though. I'm trying to cultivate like 5-10 minutes a day, whatever it is. So I know you hear this over and over and over again, but that's because there's actually something to it. So you can think of it as just sitting still and actually letting spirit or the universe or whatever speak to you. I once heard somebody say prayer is speaking to spirit and meditation is letting spirit speak to you. And I really love that. So practicing some meditation. The seventh wheel is your crown, top of your head. Its color is violet. And this is, of course, it can be your connection to the divine, but through the lens of leadership and ownership, I think of this as your mission and your vision. What are you here for that is bigger than just you? This is attuned to something that is greater than you and your ego. It transcends all of that. And it's also, if you notice how these wheels build on each other, the crown involves every single one of these. Your foundation and who you know yourself to be, the joy that you bring to it, your willingness to act on it and actually create it in the world, to truthfully speak it and bring it forth, to trust yourself enough to empower it, and then to have it grow and be bigger than just you. Meditation, also a great practice for this one, but the other one is to get clear on your highest and best commitments versus your default commitments. This is another list writing exercise for you guys. Take a minute, write, what are your highest commitments in the world? Like highest, most noble things. I am here to make a difference in the world through my art, or to bring my heart out into tangible results, or to use my music to touch lives and have everyone in the world feel connected and understood. Those are all really great. Your default commitments are the things that if we followed you around one day, we would absolutely see from you. And they might be hitting the snooze button 10 times, eating donuts even though they make me feel crummy, or nitpicking everything that my partner does because nothing's ever good enough. Those are your default commitments. And somewhere in those highest, best commitments, make sure that something on that list is a goal that is bigger than your fear. I've told you a lot of information today, and I've given you some exercises and some places to look. Your survival mechanisms are going to resist the shit out of some of this. It's going to roll its eyes, or it's going to tune out, or it's going to be like, yeah, I already do that. Or it's just going to be like, I couldn't possibly do that. That's big and lofty, and I've got too much stuff going on. Have a goal that outspeaks and outweighs any of those reasons why not, and any of that resistance. I promise you, if you actually practice and tap into these things, you will see results in your life. You will see something different. And again, this is a lot. I threw a lot of information out there at once. Yeah. So I'm leaving you guys with this very fast check-in, and some of the free artwork back there corresponds with this. I call it my Roy G. Biv check-in because that's how I learned the colors as a little kid. And it just so happens that it corresponds beautifully with the wheels of leadership. So R, for your root. Am I rooted? Am I grounded in who I am? O, am I open to celebration? Am I openly creating? Y, yellow. Yes, I can. G for green, green light love. B for blue and believing, expressing, and hearing my truth. I, indigo, intuition. V, violet, is vision and mission and your connection to something greater. So every time you're about to do something, you can do a quick check-in and you can just picture those colors and give a quick thought to yourself. I did it this morning before I got up here. It's super helpful, and it's a really quick thing that you can practice. Lastly, I will leave you with this magical formula. Insight plus action equals results. In these tools, you've got a bunch of insights. You've got your fear circle and your thriving words. You've got some beautiful insight into yourself and how you operate in life. And you've got a lot of actions to take from here. I actually want to give you guys some homework. Are you guys willing to take away some homework? All right, so get familiar with these chakras and with these wheels, however you want to think about them, and start to notice what your blocks are. Where do you block your flow? Is it in your heart? Is it in the doing? Is it in the speaking? Which one is it? Write down your blocks on a little scrap of paper. You can take it home with you today, whatever you want to do. I want you to actually burn it. We really wanted to have a bonfire here today, and they said no. So that's your homework, is to take these blocks home and set it on fire. Let it go. Remove them. And this is sort of a woo-woo thing, but it's also teaching your brain that you don't need that anymore. You don't need that. It's okay to unblock and let yourself flow freely through all of these and really trust yourself. So who's willing to go home and set some things on fire? Oh, yeah. Okay, awesome. The other thing I want to give you is to turn to somebody next to you, whether you know them or not, swap information. Email, text, whatever. This is your new accountability buddy for the month. And as soon as you have swapped information, bring it back in, y'all. This ain't get to know you time just yet. Not yet. You can get to know each other in a minute. For now, just handle the logistics, the bare bones stuff. What I want you guys to do is to check in with each other at least once, if not more. You guys can start texting each other every morning if you want to, but check in at least one time before we all come back for the next Creative Mornings event. Check in on what were your blocks? What did you learn about yourself? What are you actually practicing that's different than it was before Friday when you walked in the door? And start to share and support each other in this journey, because some of this stuff is not going to be predictable. It will make a difference, but you have to actually allow it to make a difference. So your accountability buddy is there to check in and be like, I see you, I'm watching you. Yeah, that's what I've got for you guys. I want to thank you so very much for your attention and your hearts and your creativity. Do we have time to run through a super fast meditative moment, or do we need to dance it out? Either one. We can meditate and then dance it out. All right. So let's do, this is super vulnerable for me, you guys. I'm gonna get vulnerable and weird with you for a minute. Sit there and close your eyes. We're gonna run through these, and I'm gonna give you some visualization. We're just gonna run through the wheels together. Everybody take a breath in and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale into your root, that glowing red light just above the tailbone, just above the base of your spine. Inhale and exhale any blocks to your sense of acceptance, your willingness to provide, your acknowledgement that you have everything you need, that your needs will be met. Inhale into that. Exhale. Inhale into the second wheel, your sacral. It's orange and it is located just below the belly button. Allow it to fill your entire lower body with a bright orange glow. Inhale joy and celebration. And exhale that back out into a world that really needs it right now. Now inhale into your solar plexus. Let your entire torso fill with a golden yellow glow. And as you exhale, release any blocks to your confidence, to your willingness to embrace just how amazing you are. Inhale and exhale that golden light out into the world. Inhale into your heart. Let your entire body fill with a green glow. Let it surround you. Let it get so big that your heart is wrapped around your neighbor too. As you exhale, release any blocks to your heart. Inhale one more time for that heart. And exhale some love out into the world. Maybe mostly to somebody who's really hard for you to love. Give them a little extra today. Inhale into the throat. Let your throat fill with a glowing blue light. And remind yourself that it's safe to speak your truth. It's safe to listen through ears of love and connection and understanding. Inhale and then exhale any blocks and let that throat chakra just spin. Can give it a nice hum if it needs to be woken up a little bit more this morning. Inhale into the third eye. Let the center of your forehead fill with an indigo light. Wake up that intuition. Be willing to trust yourself and listen to that little voice. Let it get louder and louder. Exhale any blocks and really let that energy start flowing up and down through the whole spinal column. And then inhale into the crown. It's like the crown of your head opens up, silver light flowing out and back in. Inhale and exhale any blocks to that. Any blocks to your connection to your divinity. You are a divine human being. Inhale. Exhale. Open your eyes and let yourself enjoy the feeling of being in a room full of fully aligned divine human beings together. All right, let's celebrate. That was beautiful. Thank you guys so much. You are amazing.